Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. The live stream of consciousness is on a quest to unravel the mysteries of existence. Every episode, we ask the fundamental question, what is consciousness? Is consciousness merely a product of our brains, or does it connect us to something greater? Explore the very fabric of our thoughts. Don't miss a moment. Expand your awareness and tap into the boundless potential that resides within you. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness.
Oh, I was not automatically in there. That's the first time I did that in a long time. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. Are you ready to tap into the endless bounty that resides within you? I think that's what Jesse was saying. I love that intro. And welcome to the live stream of consciousness. For all of you who are here for the first time, I welcome you to the live stream of consciousness. What is that? It's a moment where I go live, and whoever wants to join me joins and watches, and I usually have an amazing conversation with an amazing guest, and tonight is no exception. I love doing this. I started this out of the love for the conversation, but I realized that I continue to do it out of love for the community. It was actually having people reach out to me and tell me how the conversations were affecting them that really made me feel like, oh, there's something to this. And so if you are enjoying what you see, or when we're done, I'm not going to ask you to subscribe before you see what I got to offer you, but if you enjoy it afterwards, I would love for you to subscribe, share it now, or share it anytime during the show. I am the only podcast, I do believe, that offers a complete 100% money back guarantee. Right? I don't think any other podcast does that, and that's because it doesn't cost anything. But I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad everyone's made it. I see Erica Neva out there. Welcome, a new name I haven't seen. I see Raven out there. Hey. Grace is, of course, watching on both platforms. Always helps the algorithm. Tonight on the live stream of consciousness, I am going to be talking about something specific. We're talking about the spirit realm tonight. We're talking about what is the spirit realm, and this came out of the idea of talking about one specific topic during the show instead of just what is consciousness, which we usually do. And I'm gonna do that tonight with the guest that I met last week on the live stream of consciousness, who came in with such amazing energy, and then suddenly, besides seeing her in the chat, I saw all these people saying, "Hey, thanks for inviting me, Deb. Thanks for inviting me, Deb." So, without further ado, I am welcoming to the show Debbie from Transcend with Debbie. What's up, Debbie? How you doing?
What's up? Hey, Michael. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for being here last week in the audience. It means so much to me when people are watching and actually engaged and enjoying the conversations and
Totally.
feeling the energetic connection between me and my guest, which, we're about to do. So I'm excited.
Right. You had an amazing guest. My girl Raven was on here, Lead with Energy. Hey, y'all. Hey, girl. You were rocking it. And, that's what we do. You talked about community and the community that you just built for your stream of consciousness. And that's what it's about. Community, coming together, supporting one another. And you're doing an amazing job and bringing awareness, inspiration. And I was coming in to support my girl and making sure those that weren't missing out,
Yeah. Thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. And it's what's really cool. And I've talked about this before, is that I started this at a time when social media, and it seemed like the platform was being used in such a divisive way, right? Everybody was being really strongly talking about their opinion, but not really being open to other people's opinions. And I love the fact that I'm using the platform this way. Many people have responded about how it's such an open-minded platform, this show. You could really talk about anything and not feel like you're being judged in any way, or you're talking all crazy. I talk to all sorts of psychic mediums and astrologers and people who read the Akashic records and channelers and people who connect to source in so many amazing ways. We were talking about this before the show. And to me, it's all just about that personal connection to source and how you express it. And if it's authentic, I think people will connect to it, right? Whether it's channeling or whether it's psychic mediumship, your vibe attracts your tribe, they say, right? And
Right.
so that's what I think is happening here. So I was also mentioning to you before the show that I'm changing formats. I invited you on the show because you're an expert in the spirit realm, and I want to talk to people who maybe are just getting familiar with that, or maybe don't know much about it, and for
Right.
people who know about it. But traditionally on the show, I have a question, and that question usually leads into everything else anyway, right? Because it's all the same thing. And that question, what is consciousness? What is consciousness to you, Debbie?
Right. I know you asked me this before we started, and that can open up in such a huge way, right? So it is the soul. It is our consciousness of the soul, and it's everything, the multifaceted connections to vibration and frequency, and how we connect to all that is, our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, but then all our senses. It's everything of life, right?
Totally, absolutely. I love it. And it's funny because people get nervous when I ask that question, right? Because it can be, you could take hours to answer that question,
Right,
right?
right,
But it really is, it's really when you're put on the spot and you're asked that question, that truth comes out, right? And you just said it. I think consciousness is that spark that connects us to everything else, right? It connects us
right,
to our ability to see and to hear and to feel and experience things, and then to contemplate those things and figure out what it all meant. Consciousness is the center of all of that.
right.
um and I think that how that relates to our conversation that we're going to have tonight is how it transcends
Mhm.
this form, right? This form that
Right.
we're in right now. Consciousness transcends that form in another way, and part of the way that I think consciousness transcends the three dimensions is the spirit realm. So why don't we start with that, or actually, you know what, the other question that I usually ask. So
Okay.
what I could actually lead into that, and that is, do you have a memory or a specific moment when you kind of realized that the spirit realm even existed?
So I have multiple stories that stay with me. But before we started, we always get that little airdrop of like where we're kind of gonna go with our conversation. And I think the biggest one was within my 20s. You know, energy is everything,
Mhm.
and our perception and how we perceive and how spirit is trying to catch our attention to use the tools that we know to say, oh, there is spirit here. Not knowing that I'm a medium, just knowing that I was super sensitive since I was a very young girl.
Mhm.
And when I had a full on awakening and you're just seeing spirit walking through like nothing, I'll never forget it. I was going to the church and I was like, Father George, I need holy water. I got to scrub my walls and, cleaning the carpet up. And I'm trying to be like, what gets up? I don't know what's happening. And so, and so for me, it's all about like, processing now. Okay, obviously, I cleaned the house. I was taking care of it, looking at it in a different way with a different perception of like something is wrong, but not realizing I was having a full-on awakening. Psychometry opened up, visions started coming, the clairvoyancy, everything just went. And when people say there's a line of people that come waiting to be heard, I was seeing the lines. I was
Wow.
seeing the people, and I was seeing the connection, but still not fully understanding, until you really take the steps of the journey within for thyself, is when
Mhm.
the unfoldment starts to begin to take you to your mind to open into the possibilities of what it could be.
Wow. So I hear that often, right? I hear often psychics talk about how they see, all of the angels behind you and the line of people. Um, but I wonder, because again, I feel like, different perceptions can be expressed different ways.
Right.
Is it actually like people that you see, or is it less of a visual and more of a knowing, that you just know that they're souls?
Great question. And I think this is important because we all first off see differently. We all receive differently. And based on our awareness and how spirit is going to get our attention so that we could understand, is going to come in a way that we're quick and able to receive it, whether it's through the taste, the smell, and the way of we visualize it, a color, the vibrancy, the frequency, or the knowing. So everyone is going to perceive it differently. As you elevate and you change and you're going into the realms, the frequency and vibration also changes. And so you're no longer seeing them as you once did. And so sometimes people panic and think, oh my God, what happened to the spirits? They're not around. But this is where we learn to anchor the energy differently and work with it differently, and how we elevate with it differently as well. So it all changes. There's some see colors, some see frequency, or feel the frequency, vibration, the geometric system. It's all different, and everyone is unique, and that's the beauty, because it's a self-discovery. You said it when we first started, a personal journey, and this is a personal experience for you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I mean, I'm imagining my audience is mostly familiar with the idea of the different clairs, right? The clairsentient,
Right. Mm-hmm.
the clairaudio, clairvoyance, and the different things that they apply to in the different ways that you're sensing energy. Like you said, everything is energy. These are just energetic signatures from another realm. The spirits that have passed on are no longer in the three-dimensional realm. They're in another realm, but there's energy
Right.
signatures are still there, communicating with people like you and psychic mediums who can tune in to those vibrations and those
Yes.
energies, and again in those different ways. A good friend of mine, Christopher Allen, talks about how he'll see things like his little cousin will signify something when he sees different memories that he has in the past. They all correlate to different meanings of things that usually are the messages that are trying to get through.
Right.
And I love that. I haven't really particularly tuned into a clair, one of my clairs specifically. And I say that, and that's so silly when I say it, because I'm like, of course I have so many times,
Right.
but I mean, I don't practice it the way you do, is what I'm saying. I kind of, I practice my energetic stuff in my own way. And this is actually a part of how I practice, right? And how I connect to you and my audience at the same time. And so everyone can kind of understand. Maybe someone never understood a specific energy and was like, oh, wait a second, now it makes sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, what's interesting, because what people don't understand is that we are all born psychic. All of us are born with senses, the intuition, the higher self, that energy of your auric field can give you the impressions of, or you feel into that vibrancy and frequency, like, oh, I felt that before, let me come over here. You already know when there's something about to go down, because you've experienced and you held on to that impression and that memory, so you know how to feel into that naturally already. Like, and when you're at a club, you know what it feels like to vibrate and be like, yeah, let's go. So all of us are already experiencing the energy. It's how our body is moving to it, how we're using our physical energy, energetic body, and how we're feeling when we're sensitive, when we're crying, when you're holding space for a friend to be like, man, I just had a bad day. All of that is natural when we're in that psychic flow. Now, when it comes to the higher planes and the realms, and we're elevating and we're connecting to the discarnate or to the celestial beings and to the different teams, it's who are you connecting to? And why?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, all right, interesting that you're saying that. So obviously, I'm imagining that as a psychic medium, you're often connecting people to other people that were a part of their life, right? Like their fathers, their mothers, their grandparents, things like that. But it's even deeper than that, right? There's past lives that we have, and there might be spirits that we're connected to on a different level, right? Or maybe they're different incarnations of our mother or our father or our grandmother.
Right.
That goes deeper than just one generation, right? Different incarnations of life. Can you speak about that at all?
So you're going into timelines, right?
Yeah.
You're going into timelines of, if you believe, some may not believe, in those that do. We do have memories of a past. And some do say that they're living in that moment of like, you know, a love. Let's just give an example of a love connection. I had a friend who was just in love with this man, and for the life of her, she just could not get past it. And it was this connection that she had with him and her. And for me, when I started my journey in my 20s, I was like, oh my God, like, girl, like, let it go, you know. Spirit showed me, like, here you go, girl. Give you some past life stuff to work through, right? I'm like, ¿pa qué? We're here in the now. Why are you going back for, you know? But there is always an energy of revealing of the timelines that we can go into, whether this is if you're going to your Akashic Records or Book of the Enochs, or you're going into timelines that you're needing to remember who you were, the power before things have happened, or maybe you're still carrying a wound that was carrying from another timeline. This is where you go back, give it love, give it grace, give it healing, and allow the energy to restore. Kind of like going into a soul reading and bringing the energy forward in the way that is loving, gentle, kindness, and bringing in the goodness of it, versus remembering the difficult times of what may have experienced or witnessed when those moments appear to you.
Wow. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, I feel like you know, again, you're hitting on so many things, and I'm jumping all over the place because you're hitting all my trigger words, right? You said once you said energy is everything, it's like I'm like, oh, I'm at home. Like we could go anywhere with that. You know? There's so many places to go with that, and it's so true. And I mean, you know, energy it's been really interesting. I feel like once you kind of realize a bunch of things about energy and the role that it plays in your existence, it starts to make existence a little bit easier, right? You start to understand like why things are happening, and you don't take things personally, and
I love that.
Yeah, you start to a big thing I saw recently was the difference between reacting and responding to something, right? And just understanding that, you know, everything is happening and you're in control of everything, you know what I mean? And
And that's still hard though, because we still have an emotion. So the emotion is also part of the experience of your psyche. And so we do have to sit and process it in the way that we're feeling into the experience. And with that feeling, it's important to feel it. But it's also important to understand why you're feeling the way that you do.
Right.
And so this is where either you can look at it as a lesson because you're going back to the past. It feels like with you, what you're saying here. And there is that deeper healing that you can really go into and dive deeper into the different rooms and to send it that grace and that compassion, or the contracts that you may have felt that you may have that need to be released. You know, a lot of times we do that to ourselves based on like going back to the love. I ain't gonna love again. I ain't gonna get married again. You know, you just told the universe, I don't want none of that. Now you're like, well, I ain't got no man. And then you're like, remember that one time you told the universe that you were good? So then you got to go back and be like, okay, I just kidding. So, you know, you got to change how we talk and how we say it. But sometimes it's natural when we're upset. And so we have to also honor the anger or the frustration or the emotion. But it's also important to give the forgiveness and the grace and the love.
Right. Totally. And you know what? I think it's interesting. You made me think about, I think it's an interesting moment. All right. So you were saying emotions are so important, right? To feel, even the bad ones, right? Even that ultimate sadness. And it's funny because I know for me, I can remember I was probably pretty young, but the first time I actually cried tears of joy, right? When you're really enjoying something so much and you start to cry and you make that connection about the emotion and how powerful it is and how, wait a second, this moment is me, and I've talked about this on the show. The moment that you're crying is me actually touching my soul. I'm actually like, the whole idea of thoughts manifesting into physicality is happening. Your whatever it is that you're thinking, whether it's happy or sad, is manifesting in your eyes watering, your throat choking up. You feel it right here. You get all tense. You're just like, oh my God, you can feel that physical response to your thought. And that's
Right.
just so powerful. I mean, that's the moment that you're actually, connected to source and your highest self or your true self, I
Right.
believe.
You see the bliss. You're in the
Yeah.
bliss.
Yeah.
And when we're in that space, it's very elevating, and the frequency that it keeps you to that connection and manifestation of the oneness of your heart, of
Mhm.
love. That's
Mhm.
the greatest, highest frequency you can vibrate at. And
Yeah.
so when you're saying, oh man, this just manifested or this just happened, and that tear of joy, I had that the other day with my auntie, and I'm going to add it with my mother who's in spirit.
Mhm.
And I was feeling her joy for me. And I was sharing a story with my aunt, but it was being that I'm able to connect to my mother on my own. I was able to feel her essence right next to me as I was sharing that. And I did have the tear of joy of like, ay, Dios mío, like that just happened.
Yeah.
Like, how awesome is that? And my aunt, missing my mom, she was feeling into her energy. And so there is an energy that comes with that you speak of. And that vibration, it can unfold in so many ways. And that's like that golden moment of like that, how do I say, pinpoint, keep going, manifest more, and visualize what you want more to come because you're in that bliss.
Totally. And I that's amazing too, about how the more you become aware and you start to just kind of let go into those beliefs, the more powerful it becomes, and the more you start to see it happen, and the more it starts to happen, the more you're like, oh, wait a second, I did that. Right? You start to realize that
Right.
you controlled that, and you did it because you were aware of it, and you gave it the power just by kind of knowing and just letting go to it. You know, I love that. I love that.
Right. There's
And
beauty in that for sure.
Totally. And I just want to catch up. I see a bunch of people popping in. Hello, Latoya.
Hey,
I
Mia.
saw Keith, and I saw a bunch of people showing up. So I just want to say
Hey,
hello.
Rose.
Arnie is here. What's up, Arnie? Arnie's
Hey,
coming on
Annie.
next week. Um,
That's what's up.
awesome. Yeah. So great. And I also love. We were talking earlier about the idea about this community, right? I just love seeing it grow so much, and seeing people, seeking out groups of people where they can talk about this kinds of things that we talk about, because it used to be looked at funny if you would bring this kind of stuff up, but now people are starting to accept it, and people are starting to say, oh, I can trust this person, and I can talk about my experiences with this person because they believe, or they know, right?
Right. And it is so true. It's important to have a community that's going to come and hold space for you with no judgment, with understanding. But
Mhm.
there's that word again that I keep saying, love.
Mhm.
Oftentimes when you are in a unfortunate situation where you have a teacher that is works differently than you, that it's an experience and a lesson. Give it gratitude, and don't give up. If you've had a experience where it wasn't supportive, give yourself an opportunity to go back in. Don't give up. There's different elevations, there's different realms, there's different connections. And that is the beauty of coming together, where we can anchor that energy to support one another.
Totally.
Mhm.
So I'm going to try to steer the show back, because there's so many amazing things we could talk about, Debbie. It's great. But I want to let's focus on the spirit realm, right? So you talked about, when you realized that there was a spirit realm, um, but tell us about your connection to the spirit realm, and kind of what you do, and that might even lead us into maybe some readings, or people asking
Yeah,
questions or anything like that.
definitely. So I'm definitely open for questions. A lot of times people ask, what is the spirit realm for me? And it is an opportunity to go into the different realms. For myself, was for self-healing. So the journey within the self-discovery, the evolution, and the transcending was for me. To understand how spirit was connecting to me, what I was feeling, what I was experiencing, all of that was for me.
Mhm.
As I evolved and continued in my journey, of course, many courses, many teachers, many experiences, many years of studying and continuing to dedicate myself to my work with having a deeper understanding. We're given glimpses of the spirit world every time we delve deeper into sitting in the power. And we're going into sitting into power to connect to all that exists with the earth, the wind, the elements, right? We'll say the elements, the universe, connecting to that higher source, the guides, your spirit team, the discarnate, who you choose to work with and who you're trying to connect to. All of that starts and unfolds for you in the way that you need it, which I say it's almost like a rite of passage, or it is a way. Every time you go in, it's a graduation, right? And so earlier on, I learned the ascended masters, of course, prayer first, prayer, God, spirit for myself. And then, of course, after I sat in meditation, and from meditation, you start to learn about the different guides, the doctors, the healers, the teacher guides. All of those started to come in. And, I sat weekly for years to welcome spirit closer. And as I did that, everything started to unravel. So our memories, our structures that are in our auric field move and change. Are just from that thought, our energy changes. And so we're now in that higher consciousness of trying to transform, go into that rebirth of transformation, right? But that never stops because life continues. And when life continues, we have to work through again whatever we're experiencing. So you think you're delving in because you got things to deal with, but then you're always still having to go a little bit against the wave, but you have to learn how to ride it. And when I became a teacher, I am a Reiki master teacher, and I started to hold space. And I let spirit come closer using all the connections in the way that I was taught. And then letting myself learn to just surrender and welcome spirit. And as my clients began to receive the Reiki, their loved ones started to come closer. Their ancestors started to come closer. And I was able to start delivering the messages. Wow. As I dove deeper into my shamanic practice, and we held space for the soul work, and there's so much beauty in that. And there's so much love that comes with that. And the unfoldment that comes with it is very remarkable when you're working with the mineral kingdom, the animal kingdom, and the spirit world together in the oneness. So again, this practice was for myself, and I just get to hold space as I am the link, the conduit, and I just let spirit do the work. So really, I'm just the observer.
Totally. Wow. Totally. You said so many things that I love there. So I want to break them down a little bit. One, the first thing that you said that I really liked was that, you're never really there, right? Like in this part of the journey, the 3D part of the journey, there is no real destination because it is a journey. The whole thing is a journey, and you'll be changing and evolving throughout the whole thing, and even if it's like, maybe you you have the goal of, I want to just have a house and a car and a wife, and then I'll be there. You'll still be in a place where you'll still be experiencing life. Like you said, life is still happening, and you're still going to need to respond and process experiences, and maybe the experience is just getting older with the one you love. That's beautiful. You know what I mean? That's awesome, but you still have to participate in that experience, right? You still have to, you still have to be there and grow through it and feel it, right? And I think that's the beauty of this. I'm not a big fan of the term spiritual journey, right? Because I feel like that's what life is. Life is a spiritual journey, like that just means life. Everybody's on a spiritual journey, whether they know it or not.
I agree.
But the other thing that you said, and I love this too, is my partner Janice is a Reiki master also, and it was through her practice for herself. She did the practice to, help herself grow out of a situation she was in, and she did, but then messages started to come once she was able to connect with people and get them into their own energetic fields and relaxed. She would get the messages too, so she kind of tapped into her own psychic power there. And that's why I guess I'm so fascinated with all these different modalities, you know, in metaphysicality, that because they're all energetic, right? I mean,
Right.
even reading the Akashic records, you know, it's all energy. It's all tapping into your energy, and um I think even the exercises of you know, how a lot of people before they'll do things like the Akashic records, or even psychic mediums will, you know, kind of clear the space and protect themselves, you know, with different mantras, or, you know, things that they say out loud. Again, that's the invocation of energy,
Right.
right? That's all it is. And so it's like, again, I'm just saying how fascinating it is to me how many different ways there are to do it, because I've seen so many people do it in so many ways, and authentically and successfully do it, right? So it's like it validates to me, like, oh, you know, that's another way to do this, right? Like channeling, you know, some people channel different entities and things like that. So what's your specialty as far as being a psychic? What how do you normally like to practice? How do you connect with people?
Honestly, I just say, come on, spirit, share your story. And so I attune. So we're attuned to spirit world. We're always connected. For me, it's really just welcoming them. That's how simple it is. Sometimes we often want to make it very complicated because we're trying to understand, and we all go within our own belief system. And for me, I want to feel everything. So when I go in, I just say, share your story with all my. I'll give you an example of a prayer I just said before we started. Let's do that.
Okay, great.
So before I go in, I attune. I ask Spirit to attune me to the minds of spirits of the intelligence for those that are going to be here today, so that I'm connected to the minds that need the message, and to the spirit team that needs to step forward for them. So that is my intent, so that you receive the healing. I invited my trance healer. I invited my team, your team. So we're coming together with a great understanding, that I understand the message clearly and the way that you would need to receive it, right? So attuning is allowing your body and allowing spirit to come closer, so that we are in that spirit world, so they can come closer to my energetic body, which is within my auric field. Okay. And so when I do that, I like a little prayer that I say before I do a church demonstration. And my prayer that I said was, Father Sky, open up the heavens for the messengers to come forward. Great Eagle Spirit, come higher, so that we raise us higher, so that I can see from a different perspective, my guardian rainbow. I did this for all of us, to fill us all up with the colors of our soul and spirit needs for the day. And then that great hand of Mother Earth, may she anchor us within that silver ribbon, so that we can be grounded within her energy. And so before we started, I said that. And so this is just giving the permission for your team to step forward to share their story. And so you're also having respect for those that are coming, the sitter, the recipient, the person who wants the energy to say, hey, we see you, we're going to work for you and be here for you. So you're inviting them like a little party.
I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I'm going to put up your link tree there at the bottom. I forgot to put that up so people who are feeling Debbie can see more of what she's doing. And I love everything that you just said. And it made me think of really curiously was like, okay, so what did they say?
Well,
Like,
I just wait. I could feel the energy. I could feel the frequency. And so when you're saying like who, where I go, it's whoever's open. I'm pretty much very open to where spirit directs me. Those that are in here, just say hello. And then if you want to do some readings, and I'll just say where I'm where I'm guided to go, and I'll just flow. And I'm just holding space and observing and feeling into how they want to share.
awesome. So if anybody in the audience has any specific questions about a situation that's going on with themselves, or just some general advice, I know for me, I do have a question. Usually don't have questions, right? And I think
Oh,
that's what's interesting for me. Like, I love all of this, right? I love psychic mediums, but I don't really like have a question about myself. That's very specific, right? Like, well, what am I supposed to do? Because I've asked that question so many times, and the answer is always do what you're doing, right? It's
okay.
always like you're doing it. And so I don't really ask that anymore. But again, my question was kind of like, I guess I want to know what your team and your spirits, how they responded to my energy and what this is all about, what the live stream is all about, and what we're doing here. And maybe they had something specific that they wanted to share through this, this channel, or maybe they had a suggestion about what I could be doing to, to more focus on what the messages I'm supposed to be delivering, because I'm just here to deliver the message of love, right? But it can get more specific, and maybe there's something.
Okay. So I will go to you, Michael, first, if you don't mind, if I may have your permission to work with you here.
Please, absolutely.
Many different impressions came forward to me as you were speaking, and I could feel into the essence of spirit world coming closer. I do feel that there would have been a gentleman that would have been in spirit world, felt very much like a father figure that steps forward. And as you were saying, what was I supposed to do? I definitely feel they started saying, Michael, 3 years ago you had a plan, and this is something that you went through 3 years ago, and you said, I want to have this business, I want to have this corporation, I want to be able to have people. So whether this is an in-center place that you visualize, that you wanted to have a center where people can come in, you want to meet and greet, you want to be able to have that hands-on experience, this is the feeling that they're giving me here. When I first tapped into this, they went straight to your heart. They're just like giving you some healing around that energy there, and they're just bringing a lot of love to, because what you were going through, they're getting you ready. Not a doctor, not diagnosing, but definitely helping you out with your sinuses as well. They show me a little bit of energy around the third eye. So you are having some energy moves around through the forehead. And there's a lot of pressure and pulsating because you're also shifting and you're elevating. They did tell me you want to see and you want to hear differently. And so you want it to come in very naturally. You don't want to force it. And so the sitting in the power to let, and it's interesting. So when I say this, I'm actually going to more of a higher being. And I know that when you worked with Lead of Energy, you talked a little bit about your passion with the ETs and that higher celestial energy. And I definitely feel that connection is there with you, whether you're connecting to that Palladians or you're connecting to the Arturians and that type of energy. I definitely feel that source energy around you, if this makes sense. Yeah. I want to say you're seeing the blue people. So I've just taken it into that direction. You feel is what they tell me. So you really go with based on what you feel. This feels right. I'm not sure. And so trust that gut instinct. A lot of times we want to go to the third eye. And the thing is here, they're making me feel like it's your gut. That is your soul. That's where your power resides. And so you get very nauseous really quickly. And that's an indication that there's a message coming. So for you, Michael, I want you to focus on the gut knowing, if that makes sense. But I feel it a lot of prosperity. I do feel a storefront. It's very interesting. I don't know if you have a market that you go to. I feel like there's a lot of organic foods eating and healthier eating. So changes in your diet. They want to give you kudos to that. I feel like very proud of you. So this gentleman now is making me feel like they're very proud of your home. I feel like you really built and you worked really hard for your family. And I just kind of say, I see you, and so this is something that I just want to express. I do feel a grandfather stepping forward that makes me feel very heavy on my chest. So I know that you are feeling this within your chest right now. I do feel that there was unsaid words because my throat is starting to get very tight here. I do know I would have had trouble seeing as well. And so I feel like they're just coming in to help you, just to support you. I feel like at some point I was a smoker, like I was very chill, this man that comes to me, and I just feel like I would have either had a fedora or some type of hat. So I got this real nice swag with him, if you would understand this, with this gentleman that steps forward with me here. And he's like, we're helping you, we're leading you. And he gives me the month of, I want to give you November, I want to give you September and October as months that are significance to you, but I also want to acknowledge your wife. You spoke of Janice, is it? Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's a gentleman that's connecting to her. Mm-hmm. There is this connection of bringing you together. So either they were not part of you being together in the living, but I feel like I want to acknowledge this connection of knowing, if you would understand this.
Sure. Yeah.
And so that is what I'm getting for you with that.
Awesome. I love that. I feel like you were talking about my grandfather there a little bit, and mm-hmm. Janice is we're not married, but she's my partner, and I do feel like there's a deeper cosmic connection.
Mhm.
So yes, there was beautiful messages, and Raven is saying beautiful message, and also
But
healing.
I do got to add to this. Is to let go of anything that worries you about taking a step forward. How about take a leap of faith on myself? You're ready for it. I feel like you had this project you were working on for 6 months and you hold on to it, whether this is a book or whether this is something that you've been writing. And I feel like take a leap of faith on that and really give yourself an opportunity for your words to be heard as well.
Awesome.
Mhm.
I love it. And Telsa's out there also. Welcome, Telsa.
Hey, Chelsea.
That's really great. I do appreciate that. It all does make sense to me. I don't want to spill it out too much personally, but yeah, it really does make sense, and I love the energy of the way you receive somebody's energy, and then kind of give them the message of what you're feeling. It feels very nice. It's very warm, friendly. And Mags is saying you are an amazing.
Hey, Max.
So so again, I really appreciate you inviting
Yeah,
your crowd down here and
totally.
hanging out. So you do a lot of other stuff.
I do.
While we're waiting, if anybody wants a question and get a reading just like that, feel free. But
Yeah,
I
don't be
noticed
shy.
on your link tree, you have a YouTube channel, you have a bunch
Mm.
of things you're doing. You were saying earlier that you've been involved with all of this stuff. So I'm excited that I have a bunch of stuff to dig into and see, because I love digesting this stuff. I love people kind of talking about, their own experiences, especially when it's got a little bit of a metaphysical twist to it, because and this is something we've been talking about on the show also for the last couple of weeks, is we're all a puzzle piece, and we all fit together in the puzzle. We may not fit right next to somebody, right, and our pieces may not be compatible with this particular person, but that person may fit over here in the puzzle, or may fit over here in the puzzle, and we're all part of that puzzle. And I think it's embracing that idea and the energy of that, right, and saying, okay, you're a puzzle piece too, and I'm a puzzle piece, rather than like, well, you're a black puzzle piece and I'm a white puzzle piece, or you're a he puzzle piece and I'm a she puzzle piece. It's like,
Right.
it doesn't
Well,
matter, right?
I agree. And I think this is what people often forget, that we're all part of the oneness. And so what you're speaking of is the tapestry of the world, of the collective, of the planet, of the humanity, the universe, the consciousness. And so if you look at it, we're all part of that thread, and we're all connecting. We're all energetic energy connecting to that oneness. And so, no matter what you do, we're not separate. We're always the one. And so
Right.
that's a perception that we feel like, oh, hold on, let me come over here. Let me dust myself out. No, girl, you still gonna feel me because I'm part of the oneness. Because that's how we roll, right?
Yeah.
We're all part of everything. But this is how we impress our energy with love. How we change the frequency by anchoring with our thoughts, with our mind, to create the difference. And if we can all have that mindset of wanting better, then the tapestry changes, just like our auric field. And so it can grow and manifest in such a bigger way on a collective level than just an individual.
Absolutely, and I think an important thing about that is philosophy and understanding, again, the power that we all have, right? So imagine if we all were to go into a situation, no matter what that situation was, and say, okay, I'm going to see what the situation is, and I'm going to see what I can add to the situation. I'm not going to a situation to get something out of it, right? So the biggest a big example I use when people like to try to explain the idea of energy and how it affects everything and how it is everything is something that you touched on briefly, which is like going to a concert or going to a sporting event, right? So you enter a concert, you enter that hall, you enter that sports arena, and you feel the energy of everybody who's there, because they're all there with the intention of having a good experience and supporting their team, or you listening to their favorite music, or whatever it is. They've got this high vibration going, and you're walking into that high vibration and contributing your high vibration to it. So it's just elevating and elevating. And again, I mean, I think anyone who's been to a concert or a sporting event knows the feeling that I'm talking about, right? You just feel it. You feel like you're a part of something bigger. It's a palpable feeling.
Right. It can be
Yeah.
very overwhelming too for many when they're still trying to understand how and why they're feeling so deeply.
Right,
And
right.
so that's going back to not only, like Stacia says, yes, not concerts, but now go back to elevators, the doctor offices, and how we can fill into the energy of what was there before. So everything has an impression. And so if you're, obviously we're all psychic, and so through psychometry, we're able to fill into the energy and the residue that's left. And so everything has a frequency, a memory that it's holding on to. So it's important to understand your own energy and what we're filling into as well. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. And actually, I want to say Rose says I agree, but some folks have bad energy, and that's true. Go ahead, respond.
Yeah, but this is an area that you have to look at when you're saying what is a bad energy, right? And so when we're looking at that, it's their energy. And as long as you know how to come back to love, that energy ain't gonna touch you. Like for me, when the higher you go and elevate with the way we feel and think with energy, the less that touches you. People always say, Debbie, how can you? I do some paranormal stuff, and like I go in there and I'll be like dealing with some dense, heavy stuff, really, really challenging situations where people have passed in very tragic ways, and so. Is that bad energy? Yeah, because people have done some really bad things.
Mm-hmm.
But it is an impression. But when you get to the soul, it's love. All you're filling into is the impression and the story. It is a story that is triggering you. And this is where we go back to, why does this hurt me? And why does this make me feel this way? Mm-hmm. And so now if it's taking you to a place of, oh, I don't like that. Oh, let me step over here. It's very clearly that we can fill into someone's energy when we're at the store. Like, you got that, oh, you're too close. Like, back it up. Mm-hmm. It's just your boundaries too. What's your personality like? If you're not someone that be like, hey girl, what's up? Then you're going to be real quick, like, back it up. Right. So you also have to take into account your own personality and how it plays a factor in how you let energy in too.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. And I think also that makes me think about judgment, right? And I'm not disagreeing that, some people do have bad energy, but then it's like, instead of being like, oh, that's bad energy, be like, oh, I wonder what happened to you that made you feel that way. More of a compassion approach to it than a judgment approach. Because when you judge and you're like, oh, that person, stay away, that's fine. You don't want to maybe get that energy in your energy, but also to understand that it's not your energy, it's their energy, and that's okay.
Right.
Let it be.
Right. And this is important, where we don't make their problem our problem. We want to have that respect for whatever the person is experiencing, because I know for myself, I've had some hard times where I was holding space for some very challenging things in my life. And sometimes that could have made someone feel very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But sometimes we go through things in life that are real. And this is where we have to acknowledge there's illness. There's people that are in poverty. There are people that don't have places to live. There are energies of where we're holding space for someone who's in survivor mode. They can be very uncomfortable for people. It can trigger people as well. And so this is an opportunity to hold light and to be of service, to just be kind.
Right.
Be gentle for them.
And how amazing and simple is that opportunity, right? Like you just mentioned an elevator, right? An elevator can be a situation where you walk in and it's uncomfortable, right? Everyone's kind of looking at each other with shifty eyes, like, oh no, I wonder what that person's story is. I wonder what that person's story is. Instead of thinking, hey, if I make eye contact with this person and smile, it might just make their day.
Right. I smile and say hello to everybody. And my friends were like, girl, you just be saying hi to everybody. I'm like, hey, girl, what's up? Hey, you look good. The lipstick looks good on you. That shirt looks good on you. And, it's just my personality too, though, right? So I want to answer Lily here, right? Ninja Kitty. She says, the energy around me has been all over the place lately. And so when you say this, my love, I want to talk a little bit about the aura. Right. So when we're sitting in the power, our job is to expand our energy to connect to everything in the universe. It is our job to connect, to bring in, to restore. So when we're feeling a certain type of way, just say, Spirit, fill me up. Spirit, bring me the energy, because you should never be depleted when you're connected to source, conscious, universal energy. You're always getting that cup filled in, right? If you're a person that's constantly in someone's energy field, you're a hairdresser, you're in, doctor, and you're in there in the cosmo doing their hair or their makeup, or you're just constantly in their energy field, you're going to be feeling who they are in their essence. And so it's important to also bring in your own energy in. Because if your energy is out to everything, then you're touching everything. I always tell my students, imagine you have these beautiful wings, because you're in the angelic realm and they're opening up and you want to feel all the impression and you want to be attuned to the spirit world. So your wings are out and you're like, ooh, this feels good. I'm awesome. I'm feeling good. I'm vibrating. But what happens when you touch the real life energy, you're touching the real life stuff. A different frequency, different vibration, right? All of that. And so it's important to bring in those wings so that it doesn't get touched if you're feeling it in an overwhelming way. Dust yourself off, dry bathe the energy, use the sage, use things, wash your hands,
Right.
change some words like, girl, baby girl, you got this. Ain't nothing gonna hurt me. Like you're good. I'm gonna go for a second because my computer is about to hang up. So I'm gonna put you on pause while you go find me another person with a question. Okay.
Great.
Give me
Awesome.
1 second here.
No sweat. Come back when you're ready. I'm enjoying the hell out of this conversation. I don't know how you guys are feeling. And I think it's really important to understand what we're talking about when it comes to energy and your own energy. And she's back.
Yeah.
That was it. I'm just saying, I think it's important for people to understand the simple thing that we're talking about, which is just understanding energy and your own relationship with it, and how to really be aware of your own energy and how you want to receive and how you want to give it out. And the simplest thing is what you were saying about your personality, right? How you're so bubbly and you're like, hey girl, how are you doing? You look great. Like, I love that, because I feel like people with that kind of personality, it says so much. There's intention behind it, like especially when it comes from this place and it's so authentic. Like, how it feels when someone tells you that, and you want somebody else to feel like that. It's like, I want to bring that into the world, because that's how I would love to be treated. I would love to feel that. And so
Right.
you do that. So you are the energy. It's like, be the world you want to see, right? You are that.
Right. Right. I
And
love what Grace says. Great energy, frequency, vibration. But let's keep it real. Sometimes we can't always be like, hey, what's up? It feels good. And so I get you. Sometimes that energy be getting us. And so this is where we reset. So sometimes during the day, like when I be like shaking it off, I go to the sun, I attune to the energy of the sun. I'll get some light. I'll take my shoes off. I'll go for a walk. And I feel like one of you got a dog up in here, like go take your dog for a walk, like, really come back to that heart. And it just changes the mood. And this is just where you have to recognize, okay, I gotta let go. Gotta let go of some energy. I'm getting irritated. I'm bothered. Give me a second. And that's okay. That's natural, It's very natural. And so just as where we gotta give ourselves a compassion.
Absolutely. And what you're saying is making me think about a conversation I had today with one of my coworkers. When things get stressful, right, and there are external situations that are kind of draining you or clawing at you, or you're struggling with, it's so great to just remember, wait a second, no matter what happens outside of myself, I still have myself. I still have everything that I'm about, everything that I do, all of my skills, all of the love that I have to offer people. Anything about yourself that you love, you'll always have that. And no one can take that away from you. And I think that's an important thing to remember too, just like easy tips and tricks, right, for surviving the daily stresses of life.
Right. That's like the beauty, coming back to that heart, the beauty of coming back to the higher self, and the beauty to say, okay, we're going to do this again tomorrow. And it's not easy to be in that routine of change, but if you're making the intent to create better, the intent is there, the wish is there, and the motion goes naturally.
Yeah, totally. Wow, you're making me think of so many things, because we've again gotten away from the spirit realm and gotten more into like just philosophies, right, about how to live a loving and helpful life, how to be a contributing part of raising vibration, which I think is kind of the mission for this community.
Right.
Excuse me. I'm just loving this, Debbie. I wanna open up the floor to you. I mean, I know you've said
Yeah.
a lot of things that you've wanted to say, but the floor is yours. I just want you to
Oh,
share more of this love and this message that you have and your energy. It's awesome.
thank you, Mike. So I'm just going to go to your comments. I don't know how much time we have, but do you want me to just see who's here and just throw a little hold space and give a couple messages for some people?
Absolutely.
What are we like on time?
We are not limited. We're not on any
Okay.
network. Nobody's getting
Okay.
paid. Nobody's
Hey,
gonna punch
okay.
in or punch out. So we're all good.
Okay, that's what's up. Okay, so for those that are still here in the comments, I can see the comments, and I'll just kind of go where I'm guided. And when you say you're open, just say spirit or a card. I'll pull a card from my card deck here. But I most likely will just go into mediumship and see what comes through. And so I'm a very fast talker, so please, yes, no's, I don't knows would be great. Love messages. Grace, when you come to me immediately, I feel a gentleman comes forward. They make me feel I would have had a heart condition, maybe needed some like some type of medical procedure needed to be done. I do know that either you were present, and this person, when you were there, I definitely feel eye connection with you. So I know that a lot was conversation was done through the eyes, Grace, if you would understand this. I do feel a mother also stepping forward. She's very sweet and very gentle. My legs are really sore, so I know when this woman steps forward, I know I had some aches and pains as she comes closer to my awareness. If you would understand this, Grace, a yes and no and I don't know would be great. It's your ex-husband. God bless you. I'm so sorry. And so I know that I also have a mother that's stepping forward as well, and she's very graceful. And so I feel like the reason I say this is because I feel like you oftentimes wondered with this woman and him if they ever connected. And I feel like these are thoughts that you may have thought of. And I just want to say, yes, that there is a definite connection between the both souls. I do feel as she comes closer to you or to me, I feel that I want to give you a flower, whether this is a beautiful white rose with some pink. And I feel like your mother had this garden where she would go outside. They're showing me this yellow house. I feel like I had pillars outside. I went down the steps, and I get the sense that she used to get her flowers from her garden, if you would understand this, Grace. I know that there's also a picture of her that's in a crystal kind of crystal picture frame. It's very beautiful. It's very heavy. And I know that there's a picture of her and a gentleman with her in this picture as well, because that is the impression that's being brought forward. I do also know a dog is stepping forward as well. So I also know that there was a big dog in spirit. As they show me, the yard was like just the place to be. And I feel like, as your mother is outdoors, I'm looking at the car, and I often find myself looking out the window, which makes me feel that your mother at some point would have made me feel that I was just looking out the window and I really didn't go anywhere. Like I wanted to go for a ride, and I was like really looking out the doors, and I wanted to be outside. I know it was difficult with the weather because she's making me feel like there was a rainy day that came. And she's taking me to a timeline now where things happen very fast. I looked at the clock, and it was just like acknowledging how things happen very fast, and I'm very sorry. There's something of feeling of not being able to get to say goodbye, and she shares with me that you were by her side, you took care of her. I feel like you made sure she got dressed. She makes me feel that you would have cleaned her and you would have taken care of her in this way. And she's just saying, you are my sunshine. She makes me feel that there's a connection to a necklace that you wear of hers as well. And I just got to say, not only is she pulling you through what you're going through, but also this dog is supporting you. And this dog is also giving you the energy of upliftment. And I just feel that presence, and if I go to the ex-husband, there is so much respect that comes to you for the work that you have done to build up your home, to build up the family, and to start over again. As I feel into this, he shows me the baking, the cooking. I want to eat like a pot pie, chicken pot pie. And I feel like the creamy foods, the creamy chicken. So I know the texture of my food would have had to change with this gentleman. And I could feel, not only is your name Grace, yes, the German Shepherd, but not only is your name Grace, you took care of this person with grace. He may have taken you for granted. He may have not given you the extra love. His demeanor, his personality was very strong. And I know as I feel into his essence, he just is now protecting you from this other side. And so when I feel into this, I say, spirit and love is definitely with you. They make me feel that you see him. They also make me feel that you feel into them. And I also feel that you have that connection to speak just as I do. And so as I sit here with you, Grace, I say, thank you for the work that you do in honor of spirit and love. And so I leave you with their love. And I say, thank you for letting me hold space for you.
Wow. Debbie, that was awesome. Holy moly. I think you were right on point. Grace says on point. Totally on point. Amazing. If you're still feeling some more, I think
totally.
There's definitely some more people out there. I think Linda Kitty said she would love a message. Stacia said she's open.
Okay. So Stacia, let's go to Stacia real quick. I know Stacia on a personal level. So Stacia, thank you so much for being here. You know, Stacia, your father already comes in, yes? And I know that when your father comes closer to me, as I feel into his essence, I feel like you're either contemplating about doing something with work. And I feel like cards, putting a business card together, Reiki. And I get the sense that your father is like, girl, what up, girl? Like, why you waiting, girl? Like, what's up, right? And I feel like you got this antsiness about you. The energy of spirit is rising. And when it rises, it's like that voice to speak. You have messages to share. And I think I said this to you more than once. But this is actually the second time. But he is coming in and he is showing me not only now are you doing the energy work, but there is now a rise of the voice. And the rise of the voice is the spirit world that's ready to speak through you. I feel that you have the vision to see as well, Stacia, as I feel into this essence, as you have a guide who is stepping forward. It makes me feel very connected to your healer. And as I feel into his essence, he wants you to allow yourself to go into that writing with the hand because of the colors that flow through you. I see the orange. I see the like almost like a peach color is what I want to give you. And that baby red, light red, soft pink color that I want to give you. And I feel this essence, it's like the healing around that foundation of your sacral, the root of the healing that you've taken time for self. I feel as I pause with that, as we speak, the journey within continues. And the experiences, the heartaches that you've experienced, they have uplifted you into a higher realm of frequency where that is no longer. And so I want to say to trust into the existence of what you're feeling is to be true. There is pure love and energy around you. And you are in the hands of Spirit and God, which means is that you're safe, you're protected, and you're so loved. He shows me the boat because I know that either he was on a boat, I'm near the boat, I'm going down some type of walk path here, and I feel like you see him or you have this memory of you being in the bathing suit and you're like, come on, kids, let's go. Grandpa's coming and I want to be Santa Claus for Christmas. I want to be just like giving them hugs. And I know that January and February are very significant, but I also know that you smell his smoke because I feel that there's something about a cigar or a cigarette. And I know that you can smell into that essence. He shows me there's a plant next to your background, and this plant is a tree, and the instance comes from the side, and I feel like your significant other is coming, and there's pictures on the side of the wall, and then there's the kitchen on the other side, and that's where the scent is coming. So the presence of spirit is coming from behind, and the essence of your dogs are connecting to it as well. And so don't be scared as they come closer to you, because you are getting definitely more of like that paranormal connection. He was a fireman. Is that? Oh, God bless you. And so I definitely get the sense that he is also coming here through the back. And he's making me feel like, my heart was a good heart. Like, like I may have ate some meat. I would have ate unhealthy. I got a little belly. It's okay. We treasure the moments and times. I know you told me, Stacia, don't eat like that. I know you told me to watch my sugar. I know you told me to watch for my headaches. I know you told me to be careful for my falls. And he's like, man, isn't that a daughter of mine? Like, check her out. Like, she really made sure I didn't get up out of bed. She made sure, like, I laid there. She made sure that I couldn't get up. But I could see everything that you were doing. My dad needs me. I gotta go. Like, my dad needs me. And so this feeling of just that anxious to get there, I know things happen very fast, and I know that the dogs were with you and you're trying to get someone to watch your dogs. And I got to acknowledge your son. And I know you have a son that's in the military, that's in the service. And so he's also saluting to your son. But I also know that I have to acknowledge children. So I don't know. I don't want to predict, but I definitely feel child that is definitely also, I'm just going to leave a baby there because I feel baby is also acknowledging baby. And I get the sense it's just like family, proudness, and like gratitude for the love that you shared. And so there's something about either you have his watch, which makes me feel like one that goes on a golden chain. And I know that 12 o'clock is very significant for you. And I feel like this is a time that you either picked up the phone to call him. I do know that my hand has a little bit of arthritis feeling. So I'm not sure if this is you here, but I definitely feel a little bit of aches and pain in my hand and within my arm and my right side here as I feel into the essence even more. And I just say, let the dog help you with that deeper healing work that you're doing. So the more that you hug your doggy, the more that the love and the energy will support you. So welcome that love even closer. Be careful with the dishes, he said. So either you must have hit the dish and you almost broke it, but he says, be careful washing the dishes. So I leave you with his love, my friend. Thank you so kindly.
Oh, wow. Debbie, so great. Such amazing energy in your readings, and they seem to be very accurate. People are responding really, really well. I'm so grateful, and I feel blessed that you're sharing this gift on my show. So thank you for bringing it. I know Ninja Kitty is a regular viewer of my show. She said she would be open to a message. So I'm not sure if you're
Stacia broke a dish.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, let's go back to Kitty.
Okay.
Where we Lily Ninja, I love that. Like all of a sudden I want to give you like the chop suey knives. So I feel like your personality is a firecracker. I feel like, girl, you're like, if I was like Fast and Furious, I would be in a Fast and Furious car with you. Like, I feel like you're a fast driver. So I feel like I'm coming to you a bit psychic here. And I feel like as I feel this, it's like you're in this thought, what do I do next? What do I do next? So your energy is very outgoing, if you would understand this. And so as I feel into this essence, I feel like I want to give you travel. I want to give you abundance. And I feel like, you're like a little bit over it with your work and you're just trying to do something different. And I get the sense that you're very creative and you're listening intuitively to spirit, but it's like, man, I haven't even got the message that I wanted. Like, it's almost like, like, I don't know why I'm going to say this to you, girl, but I'm going to say it. Sometimes we be reading and be like, oh, look at this. You got this beautiful card. And you're like, shuffle again, give me something different. I feel like you had some stuff said to you. You're like, I don't want that card. I want a different card. It just makes sense. But that's just spirit being funny because that is your personality, if you would understand that, right? That's who your personality is. And so they're just kind of giggly and funny about it. And that's just because that's how you roll. Yes, see, girl, I be knowing like that spirit's telling on you. And so I just want to bring you more fun. Things been a little bit serious for you. And for that, I'm very sorry. You've experienced some changes that were maybe not so pleasant. And so spirit is acknowledging that. As I dive deeper, and for me, I love the Jaguar medicine, and that Jaguar medicine is coming, and I feel like you have that deep connection to that sacral, to that power, that strength to visit that energy of what you've experienced, that shadow self, and you've stood in it, and you've walked in it, and maybe sometimes it's uncomfortable, but you're learning from it. And so when I speak to you, Ninja Kitty, there is light at the end of the tunnel. You're not going to stay there. And they're pulling you out of whatever you're experiencing that feels so deep. They are pulling you. You have friends that are pulling you. There's a gentleman, a young man that's pulling you from the other side and say, baby, I got you. And so for there, so sorry that you've gone so deep into this experience, but there is hope and there is inspiration and there is love. And so as I take this energy and I move it further out, a woman steps forward and just gives you a sunflower to remember that kindness, to remember the love, but most importantly, the self-awareness of where you come from. Your lineage is a lineage of many that have endured so many different layers of experiences which you have felt, which is you're going into the patterns and the belief systems of your ancestral. So how you feel and how you believe is not of your doing. And so we are taking you to a unlimited source of value of medicine that is there for you within the stars and the cosmos. And if you feel into that essence of who you truly are, there is power deeply within your gut. And for when I say this, I say, believe in yourself. And so I leave you in that deep healing connection of self and spirit.
Wow. Wonderful. Debbie, you've got a fan. I love the way you read.
Thank you.
It really is very it's like a burst. It's like a nice burst of a message. I love it. It's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on my show, for inviting me to your community. I'm really looking forward to diving more deep into your community. Lily says she was told she was a shaman.
Yes.
And Rose is saying, wow, yeah, the readings are just off the charts. And I would love to, I'm probably going to dip into your community if you don't mind. And
Yeah.
you know, whoever wants to come on my show, you know, I mean, I love, this is what it's about, right? So
Right.
this is a great example, you know, of what I like to do and the kind of people I like to talk to. So, you know,
Right.
expect to hear more from me. I'm expecting to hear more from you.
Totally.
Raven says we did great.
Thank you, Raven girl. Much love to you, friend. Thank you.
Much.
And so, yeah, if anyone wishes to join Transcend with Debbie, please do so. There is a Facebook group, Instagram. I'm on TikTok. You name it. TreeLink has it all. And what's so beautiful is that, Michael, when you go into the group, people share their posters. I have great, amazing friends that totally hold space for spirit in a beautiful way. That is just pure love. And so reach out to them. They are there. If they're on my group and they're in my page, they are definitely coming from their heart center. So, yeah, feel free to reach out to everyone that's in there.
I love it. I love it. And you're incredible and spot on. I'm imagining she was trying to say spot on. And also, Debbie is so loved in the UK. That's awesome. You know, that's one of the things I love about this. Tim, my friend Tim, was watching the show from Brazil every week, which is great. It's like I could say I'm in an international show, you know. It's so cool. But that's what I love about this platform. So thank you again so much. Let me put you in the back. Don't go away because I want to speak to you. I just want to sign off for the night, and I will talk to you in a little bit. Thanks again for being with me.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Thank you. Oh, wow, guys. All right. You know the tradition, right? We breathe in, we breathe out, we just absorb what just happened, and we just are grateful for it. It was just amazing. Debbie is amazing. Her community is amazing. Pauser, you're amazing. It was just amazing to be here. So I'll be back next Thursday, and next Thursday, Arnie Layton is going to be here, who popped into the Grace Grella show earlier today. He popped on, I think, earlier today. He's got a few tarot deck or angel decks that he's created. He's an artist, and he's a card reader, and he's just an energy worker and an energetic person. So that's who's going to be here next week. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys all again. Thank you so much for bringing your energy. I will see you next week. Peace out.